Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pivot Zero Hex Upper Masterclass. My name is Shantanu Sharma, and I head the operations at. For all those who do not know about us, Pivot is a global Web3 startup venture. We mostly focus on accelerating early stage startups. I would like to invite you all to follow us on our social media channels for more about it. We will share our social links later in the chat as well. For Zero X Hub, it's an open masterclass initiative by Pivot, where we want to enable the Web3 startups and aspiring founders with the knowledge from within the industry. All our sessions will be led by experts in the field. I have one of them today. We will have founders, investors, angels, and many more. So we've already done about six now. This is the seventh masterclass, and we are planning to do at least two every month on different topics, related to technology, the products, codes, leadership, everything that can help start. It is my ultimate pleasure to invite our mentor for today, uh, Mr. Gleb Gora. He is the founder and CEO at Vortex Foundation. To conduct this session today. Thanks, Gleb, for doing this for us. Gleb has been, he started his journey in crypto since 2017, and he has participated in multiple different ventures, before starting Vortex. This includes companies which have been in the NFT launchpads and multiple other market making teams. While he was doing all this, he noticed that the market making space has multiple areas of improvement, and that is when he decided to start Vortex in 2019. And by 2021, it was a full-fledged market making. Vortex today, he has a team of about plus people, and he has over 180 plus clients. And of course, he has some great plans from Vortex, which I believe Gleb would love to share. I hope I got that all right, Gleb.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me here. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you so much. Please, please.
Absolutely. Thanks for the intro. Everything's absolutely right, I guess. I'll also share a bit more light on this during the presentation itself. So I guess without further ado, let me just jump straight into the presentation, and then we can discuss the rest of the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let me just give me just a second to share my screen.
All yours.
Okay. Great. So let me know once you see it. Should be live any moment now.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Great. So yeah, prepared a small presentation for the masterclass today. Basically, the main topic is going to cover the efficient market making strategies and what kind of strategies are there in the first place for projects in Web3, what kind of market making, what types of market making is there for projects in Web3 as well. And we'll also cover some of the basics like what's market making in general, once again, what types of market making is there, what is efficient strategy, what are some case studies perhaps where those kind of strategies were implemented, and we'll also obviously share some information about Vortex itself. So yeah, once again, thanks for the intro. Let me start with a just introduction to market making in general. Market making on all types of markets, in stock market, in crypto, and any other kind of market refers to keeping efficient and liquid markets, which basically contribute towards people buying and selling anytime, 24/7 on those markets. This concept is practically as old as the market itself, and it's one of the most crucial components of every market. Like any kind of market, stock market, retail, real estate, like crypto or anything else, is not going to survive long without market making and people provide liquidity. So it's definitely important for people to understand, especially for project founders to understand when they try to issue their token or something similar, that market making is going to be probably one of the most crucial components of their token lifetime, and it's definitely important to choose a partner which is adjusting to your KPIs, a partner which basically suits the project needs, and a partner, most importantly, which is going to be able to suit those needs in the first place, like liquidity needs or anything else, whatever it is that the project might have for the market maker. And when it comes to the needs and what kind of needs are there in the first place, and what kind of needs can be covered by a market maker, it's probably going to be explained by, once again, a short introduction into like what types of market maker are in the first place. In crypto specifically, it's probably a bit unique because that's not the case for a stock market. It's not the case for any other market. But in crypto specifically, there's actually two types of market making. The first one is a loan-based market making, which is basically a traditional way of doing market making for all kind of assets. It originated practically at the same time when most of the tokens went live on the first exchanges. And it basically means that a market maker, loan-based market maker, takes loan as the tokens from the project. The most typical duration of this loan is 1 year, although sometimes it can be 6 months or 2 years or 3 years. But the most typical one, like 99.9% of deals, is actually 1 year at agreed strike price. The strike price is typically broke down through a call option, like for 2x, 3x, and 5x, like for similar ranges from the price at a time as an option is signed. And then market maker provides their own dollars, their own liquidity to sustain the buy order book and uses tokens that they took from project as a loan to sustain the sell order book. And they basically run delta neutral strategies, which ensure that the market is liquid 24/7, that there's always enough liquidity for market participants to both buy and sell their assets. And at a time when the option expires, that's when they either renew the option or exercise it, meaning that they either buy back the tokens or return them. And obviously, like during their time of work, they're required to keep the tight order book, tight spread, make sure that in terms of liquidity, in terms of spread, in terms of like similar values, the market is compliant with exchange requirements. But apart from that, it's not much that they help with in terms of like keeping profits for the project or helping them guide like through space in general. They're actually more of like just liquidity provider in general. In this sense, this is a very crucial partner for people who or for projects who are lacking liquidity, but it's not going to help on other fronts as much as retainer-based market making. And now retainer-based market maker is actually a slightly more flexible model, which appeared from like 2016, 2017. This is probably a unique model for crypto specifically. And it has crucial differences from the traditional one. So when it comes to retainer-based market making, actually the market maker works with project funds for both tokens and dollars. Like there's no loans, there's no options, there's no strike prices. The market maker simply takes the funds from the project. We can say in some sense as an asset management, but it's a bit different. But anyways, he operates with purely project funds to sustain liquidity, make sure that the market is compliant with exchange requirements, project requirements, it's efficient for the community in general, and practically fulfills all of the same goals that loan-based market maker fulfills. But the key differences are that, first of all, in this model, the project actually keeps most of the profits that are made through the market making for themselves, unlike with the loan-based market making. And the most important component, which probably made retainer-based market making as popular as it is today, is the profit-making strategy. So unlike with the loan-based market making, retainer-based market makers actually help on making and deploying profit-making strategies as well. Whatever it is that the project sort of like outlines for the market maker or whatever goals the project has for the project lifetime in general, actually retainer-based market maker is much more flexible to help here rather than more traditional one. And those profit-making strategies are sometimes the key difference why the project stays alive and doesn't fail within the bear cycle, like bull cycle, or any other cycle that actually happens. Like a very large component of this is a market maker building treasury for those kind of projects. And I've personally seen more than 50 cases probably of projects that survived only because the market maker, in most cases Vortex, actually, obviously because I'm part of Vortex, helped projects survive. I mean, some of those cases include like projects that reached out to us and said like, hey guys, we're not able to continue market making anymore because the project is not having enough funds. And that's the market making played a crucial role in them staying actually alive. So, and being able to stay alive until they raise next round, until they raise like the next funds, etc. So it's definitely important to understand the crucial differences here. And basically, to sum it up, probably loan-based market making is a great fit for projects that are very well on their own. They have enough funds, they have enough traction, they have enough volume, they have enough exchanges, like they're really listening to one exchanges. And the only thing they're really looking for is just to make sure that the market is as liquid as possible. It's liquid on its own already, but they're still looking to make sure that the market is still as efficient as it could be. In this case, loan-based market making is probably what they're looking for. Like if they're not looking to deploy much profit making strategies, like they're already in Binance, already like in KuCoin, Bybit, etc., and they just want the order book to be tight. Once again, that's probably their go-to choice, loan-based market making. They can obviously add retain as well, like anytime they feel like it's important for them to deploy some more active strategies. But the only purpose of retain in this place, in this specific example, is probably going to be just deploying additional strategies to either list on new exchanges or make profits from the current ones. But when a project is not that liquid, when a project is not like liquid without market making in the first place, in 9 out of 10 cases, probably retaining market making is going to be a much better choice for them, because they do need some strategies apart from just liquidity, which will help them get on better exchanges, make more profits to get on those exchanges in the first place, and also run like more strategies that boost the activity in general, volumes in general. And once again, I keep repeating this, but it's actually very important. It's overlooked by a lot of projects. The profits, they're going to be the crucial component of the next steps when the project is going to be listing new exchanges or just developing their product in general. And probably the last slide about like the basics of the market making. We already discussed what is market making very briefly and what types of market making there is. So the next important thing is to understand how market makers are important for projects that work with them. Once again, as I've mentioned, all of the projects, like almost all the projects, 99.9% of projects work with a market maker. It's extremely crucial for all of the tokens, all of the coins, all of the project in general out there. The market without market makers does not exist in the first place, because over 90% of liquidity in crypto is actually provided by market makers. Similar to volumes, it's actually a very unpopular metrics, but approximately 90% of volumes is also provided by the market makers. Not necessarily through unethical ways, but just with strategies that boost the liquidity in general, boost the activity in general as well. Those kind of strategies are also a very large part, over 90% of overall volume in crypto. It's either generated by market making bots or arbitrage bots. So that's also a very crucial component of activity in general. And some of the bullet points, like how market makers, some of which we already discussed, help projects, is bigger volumes through strategies that basically, once again, improve the trading experience, through keeping more liquidity, through trading on the market more, through deploying high-frequency trading strategies that trade with best bid and ask orders. Those kind of strategies contribute towards bigger volumes in general. And as people see bigger volumes, obviously they pay more attention to the token itself. They contribute towards the chart because, once again, while those high-frequency trading strategies are running, the chart is also looking more consistent. The chart is also looking much better. The point which we already discussed in kind of good depth, which is tight spread and liquid order book, an extremely important component, because if the order book is not liquid enough, then people are not able to trade, people are not able to buy or sell, and obviously they'll just skip the coin. Like, that's a very common thing for a lot of projects. When people see that, when a trader wants to buy a certain coin like yours, or just wants to check it out perhaps for future purchases, and he sees that the order book is kind of thin, or like not necessarily looking too good for him, like he sees that he'll purchase 5,000 worth this specific token and the price is going to skyrocket by 10%, chances are he might skip it. Like he'll not necessarily think that it's going to be worth it, because if you buy this much worth of token and the price moves by 10 or 15%, chances are that you're not going to sell your tokens at a very good price without extreme leakage. So obviously people, especially whales who are looking to buy certain coins, obviously they pay a lot of attention to liquidity and order book in general. The price support is also a very important component, because the more liquidity there is in the market, the harder it is to actually move it down. Like, obviously, the more buy liquidity is provided to the order book, the more tokens people have to sell to actually move the price by a significant margin. And that's also what, by the way, just an insight, that's also one of the biggest risks market makers face on the market, because there is market making and there is market taking. And market makers basically are obliged to provide liquidity no matter what kind of volatility is there in the market, no matter what time is it, no matter what kind of market state it is in general, while market takers can actually sometimes take benefit of this and sell into those liquidities. So a large part of market making strategies, a large part of like market making in general, is about making sure that no matter what kind of market state is it, no matter what kind of volatility is there, the liquidity provision itself is always delta neutral. And delta neutral refers to the strategy which is not designed to make profits or losses. It's a strategy that's designed to basically be neutral anytime it's active. By neutral, it means that the delta is like the difference between the starting and the ending balances. is always the same. So like you start with $1,000, that's your same end balance. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges how the market makers face when it comes to maintaining this liquidity, because and that's a very common problem for some of the companies out there. Like when there's too much turmoil, when there's too much volatility in general, people sell so much into the order book, and suddenly the strategy is no longer neutral. So suddenly strategy is with a certain average buying price, the market is down, and market makers lose a lot of money on this on a monthly, on a quarterly, and yearly basis. So obviously the best teams out there, they pay a lot of attention. They invest a lot of time and money into always making sure that their algos are as competitive as possible when it comes to maintaining this important function. And yeah, once again, it also contributes a lot to the price stability in general. It limits the volatility and it contributes towards better price action. Now, the part of this strategy, which is called liquidation, it may sound a bit more aggressive than it actually is. Liquidation refers to strategies which work both ways, which is both buying and selling. So typically, market makers have very special system, where excluded have very special systems for that. So on the example of Cortex, we have a special system which buys and sells tokens without price impact, which is basically like a way of making profits for the project while we keep liquidity and while we keep like the more or less stable price action in general. It works in a way that it just only trades with organic volume, with organic buyers or sellers. Well, basically, for your first situation where we want to buy some tokens, for instance, it will only interact with people who are selling tokens in this moment. So like anytime somebody sells tokens, it actually buys back tokens from them, like instantly for a specified percentage. It can be buying back like 10% of the tokens they sell. It can be buying back 100% of the tokens they sell, or it can be actually buying back more than they sell. So like anytime somebody sells into the market, it instantly sort of like slightly pushes the price back up, or actually push the price back up fully. Like it depends upon the goals and the settings that the project has for the token. So it's a system that basically contributes towards keeping the floor or a certain market cap. And it works in a completely opposite way. Like when a project sort of like deploys strategies which include both buying and selling, sometimes it can be used to hold resistance levels as well. So those kind of systems are much more healthy for the chart rather than a project who just sort of like buy or sell manually themselves. And it's a very, very, very popular system for the crypto market in general. A lot of market makers use that, and it's probably a major game changer for projects, because a very major upside of this is that projects also have a much better average buying or selling price by using the systems. And obviously, last but not least, it's actually a crucial component of the market. It's arbitrage between both centralized and decentralized exchanges. This is extremely important for projects that are present on multiple markets, multiple exchanges. It's extremely important for them to manage this kind of gaps. When there's big gaps between the markets when a project is listed, it's a very bad sign for the community, for traders, that the market is not liquid enough, like that there's big gaps, like there's arbitrage windows, and the project is not closing them, the traders are not closing them. That means that the market is not liquid enough. And on the other hand, if the market is actually liquid and this arbitrage being closed on its own, then missing those kind of opportunities and not closing the arbitrage actually leads to liquidity range from the project. Like by managing arbitrage, you're doing both things. You are making sure that the market itself is efficient, and you're also making profits if there's enough activity to make them on. Like if there's enough liquidity apart from what you provide in the market, then arbitrage is also a profitable thing for the project. So it's definitely a very important component for what market makers do in general if they work on multiple exchanges. Now, after we sort of like briefly discussed and understand what kind of market makers are there, what kind of market making strategists are like very shortly, and what's market making for in the first place, we can understand like the specific strategies in more depth. And afterwards, we can also analyze some of the case studies. So when it comes to market making strategies, we briefly discussed it. It's important to summarize like probably 4 kind of strategies on the market. So the first and the most traditional one is just a neutral liquidity provision strategy. It's something that, once again, loan-based market maker does. It's something that is basically making sure that the market is efficient, not very volatile. It's looking as good as possible in terms of liquidity in terms of those metrics. But there is actually much more components of strategies for Ethereum-based market makers than just neutral liquidity provision. And once again, if we if we imagine for a second like that we're a project that has a token and wants to hire a market maker, let's just imagine what kind of pains or kind of targets like we might have for the market maker. So for instance, I'm launching my own token, like let's say in 1 month, and I have major pace actually. First of all, I want to make sure that I launch on right exchanges. That's very important for me. I want to make sure that I pay the right amount of money for them. That's also a very important thing, that I'm not getting scammed, I'm not getting like overcharged by the exchanges that are actually less expensive. When I'm finalizing exchanges, when I've finalized all of the liquidity, like payments and everything else, those kind of expenditures, I have to finalize the strategy itself. Like what's the most important for me for launch? What kind of price they want to keep? What kind of tokenomics have I actually drafted before that? What kind of pressure, what kind of TG pressure I'm going to have on the market? What kind of long-term strategy I have after that? What kind of vestings I have, like how much vestings I have for? Let's say that we have the most typical tokenomics and the vestings are effective for 6 months. In this case, I have to come up with a strategy, like what I'm doing for the next 6 months. Like we have monthly token unlocks. There's going to be monthly selling pressure to the market. There's going to be a downward force that basically is important to either sustain it or do something else with it. So that there is a lot of major pains that I have to go through as a project founder to come up with a strategy, long-term strategy, and launch strategy, which is going to be effective on a token. And now that's the first and probably a very important step when a market maker starts in. Like when a project chooses retaining type market making, the market maker is going to help him finalize the strategy, finalize the exchanges, finalize the goals based on tokenomics, finalize the budget based on tokenomics, and finalize the vision as well. Like those kind of things is the first and a very important step where a market maker actually starts helping the project. So let's say I've raised $2 million for a project on pre-seed and private rounds. Let's say I've also had a public round with launchpads. A total raise is $2 million, and that's like all of the funds that the project has. Let's say I don't have anything else beyond that. And the TG pressure on the launch itself is $1 million. Like on the very unlocks, like on the very first day of day zero practically of the token launch, the TG pressure is $1 million. So what should I do? Like many projects actually who are either not paying too much attention to market makers or are not paying too much attention to strategies in general, they would actually think that the most important thing is to make sure that they sustain the price, they push it as high as possible, they make sure that they help people make multiple exits, and the token price goes well in general. That's actually the first and the crucial mistake, which I've seen a lot of projects fail because of that. I've seen countless projects, probably more than 100, fail because of the fact that they spent too much funds on price support on day 1 and day 0. I think that's a very significant percentage of why projects fail in the first place. And that's also where market maker steps in and helps manage the funds. Like if a market maker sees that you have to spend 50% of all the project treasury on sustaining the price on a TG day, obviously he's going to advise against this. Obviously there's going to be different strategies on the launch itself. Obviously there's going to be different strategies after the launch. There's going to be different strategies until the vesting is over. Like if its tokenomics is not drafted in an accurate way, there's no point in overspending too much money. And now back to the counter strategies, that's going to be a hybrid strategy. Basically, if a market maker sees that the tokenomics is not balanced, the project does not have enough funds to sustain the price, and does not really understand, doesn't necessarily understand like what kind of things it wants in general. That's when the market maker will advise the hybrid strategy, basically combining the elements of profit making and combining the elements of price support to make sure that there's both profits and somewhat positive price action. Like it may not necessarily be positive all the time, but a market maker will ensure that the project is not wasting their time. Like typically the most typical approach here is to basically just sell its stops during launch day when there's most activity on the market in general, and then use all of those funds to support the price afterwards. Like make sure that there are key support levels on the chart, make sure that there is enough buy liquidity in the order book in general, and make sure that there's enough funds to push the price in the future. When it comes to situations when the tokenomics is actually very well balanced, like the project is well funded and it's very clear what the project wants, like he has specific KPIs for prices, for market cap, like for specific exchanges like tier 1 exchanges, and he wants Binance and he wants $1 billion market cap. That's when the price and market cap support strategies come in. Like the market maker is going to be a crucial component of making sure that the price rally is going as planned, that there is enough market support strategies, like there's enough support levels on the chart. Market makers is also people who can advise on the marketing and like chaos in general. That's also very, like, that's not the topic of today's masterclass probably, but marketing and community management in general is also a very important component of managing your project. Like if that's not managed properly, like if that's overlooked, probably even the best market maker and the best project team will not be able to help project if those things are not actually properly managed. But back to the marketing strategies itself, like even with good marketing, even with good community management, like in a good project, market makers are still going to be very important for making sure that even if there's good price action, that it's actually going to the fullest extent. And the final one, the profit making strategy, that's a strategy which was briefly mentioned as well in the first slides. When a project actually says that the project struggles, they're not able to pay up the team, pay the bills, like pay anything else. That's also a situation where market making can help. Like when the project is not able to stay afloat, they have year-round 3 months, but they don't have enough funds to survive those 3 months before they raise new money, like at seed round or A round or anything else. That's when a market maker can deploy this profit making strategies in the market. Typically, those strategies will include either selling tokens through systems that I mentioned before and then buying them back for profits, or depending on the market, like obviously there's as many strategies as there can be because the markets are different, tokens are different, the market states are different as well. But typically, the market maker would help manage like the team's allocation in both dollars and tokens to generate profits, either high frequency trading strategies or some accumulation strategies or vice versa, some strategies. But one way or another, like those kind of strategies are going to be designed to meet the project needs. And as I've said, let's look in some of the case studies. And we mentioned early stage projects when we analyzed a lot of those kind of strategies. So let's also take a look at some of the case studies of projects that chose the right strategy, the right market maker, the right exchanges, the right sort of like KPIs in general for them, and what kind of results they had. So in a specific example of this case study that we're going to briefly discuss on this masterclass, this was a primary listing for the project on tier 2 exchanges. There was no tier 1 exchanges. This was only tier 2 exchanges. And this was a somewhat balanced tokenomics. It was not ideal, but it was not that either. It was basically balanced tokenomics where the main approach and the main target was to make as much profit as possible without hurting the price on the listing day itself, to make sure that the project has enough funds for the future months of market making, like making sure that the price does not go below the listing price itself, making sure that unlocks from the launch pad are not triggered, and making sure that the chart itself, like, and the price action itself is looking somewhat balanced. So that's when that was obviously a listing time at Vortex. So the strategy we deployed was selling as much as possible on those first candles. Like that's probably the first sign of FOMO which projects have when they launch a token. Because if the project is somewhat expected, like tokenomics is balanced and the market state is not randos, then in most of the cases, you're actually going to have positive price action like within the first 5 or 10 minutes of the launch. And that's when projects actually make the first mistake and say, don't take profits here. Don't take profits here. Don't sell here. Like let's go higher. That's the first crucial and sometimes the last mistake that projects make. It's definitely very important to sell in these candles because if it's not going to be done by a market maker and the market maker does it without price impact, it's going to be eventually done by the community. Like the price is not going to be sustained at 10x or like 7x from the listing, like for eternity. Like it's going to be brought down very soon, and sooner than projects think. Like obviously, good projects always stay above the listing. Obviously, good projects have a good price action, like day 1 or day 2, like week 1. But nobody stays 10x or 20x from the listing price for a very long time. And when those kind of activity happens, when you contribute to those kind of activities, and people actually buy, the community actually buys, like whoever else buys, like sometimes it's the boss as well, and makes those candles happen, it's very important to secure as much profit as possible in those candles. So that's exactly what's happened in this case. Almost at the all-time high value, most of the profits were secured. The project had specific KPIs for profits, but the profits were actually overfulfilled. And the majority of those profits afterwards was used throughout the week 1 and week 2 towards making sure that we defend crucial support zones, we defend the listing price itself, unlocks are not triggered. And that's exactly what was done. Within the first week, after the condition from launchpads ended that the price has to be sustained at the ideal price, the project received remaining funds for the funding. So it was all funded and there was enough money for them to start building for the next year. And we also had a very large proportion of funds left for the market making itself. So that's an example of how listing, which is not necessarily like extremely well funded, can go very, very well for a project with the right marketing strategy, with the right approach to the market. So that's probably like when it comes to choosing your partner, probably it's very important to choose a partner who actually designs this kind of custom strategies for you, and not just advises the overall sort of like standard approach of either keeping the price or just selling into the ABS. Like obviously you have to work with somebody who is willing to invest their time and energy into your project. Now, when it basically comes to like key indicators as well, that's for more established projects. Like basically when project is looking to just partner with a market maker, just partner with a market maker, even in old markets like one single market, to make sure that it boosts the trading indicators, boosts volumes like liquidity and all the things we discussed before. That's how a case study can look. Like you just look at the indicators before the market maker steps to the market, and you look at the indicators after the market maker steps into the market. So obviously, this is a case study of a very successful project, which we held over a very long time. We're working with them for almost a year by this point with this specific project. And obviously, it's not a case study that happens for 100% of projects out there, but that's what can happen when a project actually chooses the right market maker as well and the right marketing partners. So in this specific case, when we just partnered with this project, it was only listed on tier 3 exchanges. I think in his specific case, it was Profit. It was also listed like on tier 3 exchange, actually even one exchange. And there was not a lot of organic traction for the project in general. After this case study was, at the time this case study was made, we're still working this project up to date. There's still a lot of development going for them. But at the time this case study was made, you can compare the indicators that are here on the slide. The project was present on tier 2 exchanges. The project was present on other tier 3 exchanges. And at the time of writing, the project was actually looking to get onboarded to tier 1 exchange as well, because over the time of market making, he was basically compliant enough to be listed there. He met specific criteria, specific quotas to be listed there, and he had made enough profits from the market making to be listed there as well. Once again, obviously, it's a very important combination of the project being good itself, important marketing efforts from their side, and a good job of the market maker's side. But without a good market maker, like without any kind of those components, this kind of things is not going to happen. So once again, very important to choose a market making partner who's going to be making sure that that token is taken care of. And probably that's like the end of the brief masterclass on types of market making that are there, like, and what's market making for in general and why it's important for the project. That's just some of our contact information. So I guess, and I hope so, that whoever has any kind of questions, please feel free to ask them. And I'm definitely going to make sure that we're going to discuss them in as much depth as possible.
Thanks, Web. There's a lot of data that probably has to be consumed. This thing is pretty new to me as well. I used to think that market making is just about buying and selling and there, keeping the check there. But I think there are a lot of checks and balances which you have to put in place as well. So the question here is now, I would like to ask the audience if there's any question that you have for Gleb. Please feel free to raise your hands and I will help you unmute yourself and then we can bring you on Spotlight and can talk to you. There's Dylan. Dylan has a question. Dylan, please, just hold on. I'll just see if you can you unmute yourself? You're not able to. Okay.
And I'm unmuted now, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for a great presentation. That's really helpful and very interesting. I'm a bit curious about the delta neutral strategies and how, when you do market making, how you can ensure that you don't have any profits or losses, but that you just make the market. Or just curious to hear a bit more about how that actually works in depth.
Sure, that's actually a very good question. And probably a very hard one as well. As I mentioned, the maintaining the delta neutral approach is actually one of the most crucial challenges for market makers. Like, if it's not managed properly, that's not going to be the case. If the strategy is not efficient or competitive enough, that's market maker is not going to be able to maintain a delta neutral kind of strategy, and is actually going to be either in heavy buys or heavy sells. So first of all, there's different kinds of delta neutral strategies. There's even different kinds of liquidity provision in general. Let's analyze probably two most popular cases. So there's a type of market making with liquidity provision when the market maker works works in the exchange like on the most traded pairs. Like for instance, there's Binance and there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, there's most of the like top 20 other trading pairs to use the T. There is a very large amount of market makers present there. Like there's probably 10 or 20 market makers who are present there at the very same time, like at the very same second, who are filing liquidity, trading against each other, and deploying those kind of things. So when it comes to this kind of competitive environment and those kind of strategies, probably what they're looking for, if they have an agreement with the exchange and they are obliged to provide liquidity, then they're looking to, apart from just providing liquidity, they're still looking to deploy high-fix trading strategies that are going to trade with the best bid and ask to make sure that they make profits from another market maker that is also providing liquidity. And another market maker is going to do the same thing with all of the other market makers who are present on the trading pair. So it's actually a very competitive environment. But when we talk about less competitive environment and like a more common case when it comes to like just project founders in general and a bit less liquid markets, like top 300, top 1,000 markets, it's actually much more simple. Like the delta neutral strategy is just going to be, first of all, it's very important to calculate like how much exact tokens and dollars you have for this market in general. It's important to go, basically it's also a budget. Like if you have a budget that is enough to cover the range that you want to cover, like which is enough to cover the, let's say, plus 1,000% from the current price and minus like 90% from the current price. For instance, if the market maker works within those parameters, then you just calculate mathematically like how much added progression balances you need for each step of the market. Like the price moves 10%, you need to calculate how much tokens are you able to allocate for this specific range to still be able to make up for it. Like just sort of like stretching the balances that you have throughout the ranges that you work within. Because market makers could also work like within different ranges. Market maker could work within like only very close ranges like plus minus 2%, which is the required order depth by the exchanges and like CMC and many other aggregators. And market maker can also work like within bigger depth, sometimes like in the price plus 300% of the current price. And depending on the like strike price of their option, like it can work within much bigger depth. So it's just, once again, comes down to outlining mathematically added progression, how much balances are you allocating for each level. And it also comes down to the walls, like buy walls and sell walls, because that's also a very, very, very large part of the liquidity provision that are also able to move with the market. So like not everything that's provided to the market, and that's actually a bit of probably an ethical part of liquidity provision. Not all of the orders that are there on the market are actually going to be executed. Some of them are going to be moved immediately after people try to buy or sell those kind of orders. So that's not something that contributes towards the actual liquidity. That's something that contributes towards the liquidity just when you analyze like on the order book or like just the visual part of it. But obviously some of market makers also do this to remain delta neutral. When they understand that there's not enough liquidity to be stretched for this specific range, they try to deploy like those buy and sell walls that actually move the price. So you're not able to execute it unless you're in exchange itself. But yeah, if you're curious about the mathematical component of it, like there's no problem in providing this kind of information. I just don't think that it's going to be very time effective to cover like all the formulas and those kind of things out right now.
Dylan, I hope that answers the question. Anybody else have a question? Yeah, is it okay if I can share your screen so that we can? Oh, just hold on, please. I'm so sorry. And you can do it now.
Sorry, are you asking me?
No, it's okay. I was thinking. I think Dylan sent me a message that he says thanks. He's not able to meet. Sorry, I think this did there, which allow people to. So okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And any other questions people may have? Just want to raise question, raised hands. No, they're not. Yeah, I think. Can I unshare your screen, Glenn?
Sure.
Fair enough. I think this is fantastic because ultimately, what we really wanted to know was the different strategies that Dylan, you wonderfully covered it entirely. Full house here. Thank you very much for everyone to coming in. Gleb, any last words that you have for us to conclude this?
Yeah, I guess that first of all, when you are planning to launch a token, that's like just a word of advice for people who are looking to do this. I definitely would advise to come in contact, come in touch with the market maker. Probably like at least 2 or 3 months before they actually plan to do this. Have a market maker help on their tokenomics, on finalizing like the exchanges and the markets for them, and starting to interact and work with the market maker like from the very first pre-TG phases, not just at the TG itself.
Okay. So you suggest that what should be the timeline that a founder or a startup founder should look at when it comes to when should start strategizing their market making plans and all. So how is there a timeline that you suggest that if you're planning TG, say in October sometime, should they be starting? When should they be starting to plan the entire market?
Yeah, so I would say that probably like the most optimal strategy for this, the most optimal timeline for this is like 3 months before TG is definitely a good time to not too early, not too late to make sure that you plan accordingly for the funding rounds, tokenomics, the exchange listings, and those kind of things. That not much point in coming in contact like 1 year before the listing, and a bit too late to start thinking about market making like 2 weeks before. So as I mentioned during the presentation, a very helpful thing that market making can actually do for projects is also advice on the tokenomics and those kind of things in general, not just strategy post factum like after tokenomics is made, but actually like advice and tokenomics as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're saying that there are two ways to it. One is the tokenomics can also drive the market making strategies, and vice versa. Probably have a market making in mind, and you drive the token design or token launch design in such a way that it is fruitful at the end of it. Probably that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, tokenomics is a very crucial component of what kind of strategy is going to be implemented to the market. Tokenomics influences the price a lot. Tokenomics is actually one of the most important things specifically at launch because it really decides like the kind of price action you're going to have on the launch day itself. So when the tokenomics is not balanced enough, like market makers sometimes cannot help here, like anybody else. Like if there's too much pressure, then there's too much pressure. Like you can't do anything about it. So what a market maker can do is analyze the tokenomics the project has. If it's not too late to change it, advise on the metrics that, or like certain unlocks, certain like allocations itself that can still be changed, advise on them. And if they change, adjust the strategy based on this. So the strategy for the launch itself, probably like in all of the cases, like 100% of cases, is actually drafted based on tokenomics as one of the crucial components.
You discussed there are 4 different strategies. Okay, I think you said picking and what is the breakup of the kind of people that you have over clients? How many people actually go for what kind of strategy across?
Sorry, what's that? Didn't catch the full question.
Okay, so you basically discussed there are 4 different market making strategies, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So profit making and price and MC spot, hybrid, and then neutral liquidity. So in your experience, which ones is the most sought after strategy? Percentage?
Oh, got it. Yeah, I do think that obviously unfortunately, as the market is still in a phase where projects are kind of struggling with funding, to be honest, projects are still kind of struggling with liquidity. I do think that either profit making strategy or like hybrid, where they're more shift towards profit making, is definitely the most common strategy for last year, probably even last 2 years. It's still the most common choice for most projects. It's still a most sought after strategy as well. But there is important factor to that. That some projects are not looking for profits just to make profits. Some projects are looking for profits as a measure to cover some of the very basic project needs, like product development, new change listings, just support in general at lower levels, or something like this. So it's probably an aftermath of VCs not being active enough on the current market and not providing enough funding for most altcoins out there.
It becomes more like, you maintain the liquidity in the market to get liquidity for yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes projects are just not unable to provide anything unless they shift towards like more dollars and less tokens.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, thanks so much, Gleb. There's a lot to capture here. A lot of things are new for me as well. And thank you very much for coming across and helping us understand that. People in the audience, this is Gleb Bora for you. He's the founder and CEO of Vortex Foundation. And I have shared his links in the chat as well. If you guys can please follow him, and can always whenever you require. And Pivot is also doing a lot of other activities as well. We are basically working towards this education or equipping the people, equipping the startups and founders with more and more information. And thanks to Gleb who agreed. Thank you very much, Gleb, for once again. People, we come back again in the next 2 weeks. This is going to be the next masterclass is going to be something which is very crucial for every startup, which is with taxation and different kinds of governance that happens all across the world, the regulations and everything. Talk about that as well. Thank you, Gleb. I really appreciate your time, mate. And if any questions, last moment, you can always, send a message to him. We're going to close this this call. Thank you once again, Gleb.
My pleasure. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye, guys. Bye. This is going to be recorded, so we will probably, put it on YouTube and announce it as well. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.